Hello everyone, this is Hakaym and welcome back to some more World of Warships. And today's the day, well actually it's a couple days afterwards, but the new release of the update has obviously brought us the new carriers and the new mechanics as well as the changes to the AA. Now I'm currently in the tier 6 Ryujo. They actually got rid of all the odd number of CVs because apparently they're going to be coming out with a light CVs, and that's what is going to take place. Is the odd number of ships, all the Hiryu and all the odd number of CVs. Anyways, so there's a lot of information and a lot of hate is going around with the new CVs. Well, the matter of fact is that the new CVs is by far the more quicker pace of all the other ships. You get very much into the action very quickly. Now, the carrier actually has the potential of using 3 different types of squadrons. Currently, I am taking out the HE rockets, and it does have some consumables. I just launched a fighter to try to blockade the attack group that just went by us. As you can see there on the minimap, it's currently kind of hovering over that spot. Now, whenever initiating an attack, a few of your planes will break off from the squadron. There is actually a reticle. Unfortunately, replay doesn't show it. Once fired, those planes will actually start heading back towards the CV, where they'll go back and rearm and resupply. And then you can come out and do another attack. Now, I know the HE rockets get a lot of hate because, well, generally they don't do damage. And that's the thing with the current CVs is they're no longer alpha strike damagers as they used to be. They're currently more of the harassers, the point and dot damage that obviously a lot of people don't like. So coming in for attack, HE rockets are actually really good against destroyers. There you notice we knocked out a module, and we're currently down to our last 2 planes. And unfortunately, we're not going to get the kill on that Pavoski. He's very close on health. And I will say there is kind of a slight delay. It does have a wide turning circle radius. Whenever playing the ship, you actually, on the left hand side where you can see where it says like 142 knots, it does have a speed. You can increase and decrease your speed. However, it does use that boost. So you do have to be careful whenever playing this ship. Now, I did switch over to the torpedo planes, and torpedo planes are still strong, though it does take practice. Because the main issue, and unfortunately the replay does not show it, is the fact that when coming into attack, such as I am, you'll break off, and a cone of dispersion shows up, and you have to give it enough time to drop it to where you get that proper dispersion. And it does take practice because you still have to kind of estimate the speed of the ship as well as its potential turning. Now right there you actually did see flak, and we did take damage at the kind of bottom of the screen. It does show the health, and I guess that's probably one of the major complaints with the carriers is, especially higher tiers, your planes generally get melted very quickly if not played correctly. And another issue I've noticed is the fact that, well, we don't really seem to do a lot of flooding damage. Drop on the enemy CV. I think I dropped a little bit too close because they did not arm actually. And that's currently the main complaint is your planes, they really do get melted away very quickly. Now, another issue is once you commence an attack, and these are the dive bombers, and these are AP bombs that you actually can fire. Once you commence attack, you can't come out of it. So unfortunately, that attack was rather wasted, which is highly unfortunate. But the dive bombers are actually AP bombs for the Japanese, and they actually do pretty decent damage. I believe even the USN has AP dive bombers. Might be wrong. Currently working on just the Japanese right now. We'll be eventually switching over to USN once I get more of a hang of it. And I will admit right now, I'm terrible. I mean, you're going to see me kind of mess up. I'm still learning. I think this is actually like my 3rd or 4th battle. And still going to mess up every single time. And yeah, not doing a particularly good job right there. So, 3 different ammo types, more or less. Every time they come back, and especially once you start losing more and more planes, it takes longer and longer for the planes to resupply. So that's the biggest thing is, especially at later game, it's going to take you a lot longer to get a full squadron together to actually attack. Now, kind of quick overview, there are a few consumables. There is the speed boost and the ability to lay down a fighter. There's also consumables for the CVs, and this is one of my few complaints with the current setup. Yes, it's essentially an early build, not so much early, but it is the first opportunity that we actually get to try it. It's going to be kind of a work in progress until it gets kind of worked out. I have hopes for it, but my main complaints is actually the control of your CV, your carrier itself. Whenever you're flying your planes, the only way you can get back to your actual CV is if you recall of all of your planes. That's the only time you can actually get back. And you really can't screw this up. Now, I've actually had instances where I had to completely recall a squadron and get back to my carrier because the autopilot did not actually engage, and unfortunately had to completely shut down my engine, because or else I would have been going in a straight direction. Another thing, as this is where I'm actually starting to kind of pick up, is the fact that there's a auto deployment of damage control and fighters, and that's because it's such a hassle to get back to your own carrier that you really can't do anything. So they kind of did it automatic, which I understand, but I just wish there was an easier way for you to get back to your CV without having to completely recall your squadrons. So AA, let's actually talk about AA. I'm gonna go quickly show kind of a slight video of my Des Moines using its AA. As you can see, it is definitely a lot different than what it used to be. Now you have quadrants, you have your starboard and your port side quadrants, and you can shift the output on each side. So you can shift from your port to your starboard and increase the AA efficiency. So from 100% to 125, while the port side will go down to 75. This is kind of a neat idea. It is going to take a little bit of early assessing the potential threat, and like I said, it's interesting. But whenever you're doing an attack, unfortunately in this battle there's not a lot of AA, so you can get away with kind of what I'm doing. But whenever you're doing attacks against actual AA ships, you have to watch out for the flak burst, as well as the natural DPM that's currently happening right now. And dropped a little bit short. Yeah, like I said, I'm still a work in progress. Now, that's kind of the problem, I guess, with a lot of people, is just how damning it can be if you really mess up, or else you are going to lose all of your fighters very, very quickly. And as you can see, I'm not particularly good at the dive bombers. Fortunately, I am actually joined by Dread. Should have mentioned this a little bit earlier, but he's actually going to be the one doing a really good job in this battle, as our team's not doing a particularly great job right now, as we have just lost 2 ships. So that's probably my major issue right now, is just the ability of controlling your actual carrier. Now, whenever flying, as you can see, we're actually detected. Your planes have a detection zone, and I believe the Ryujo is 7.5, and your current concealment, which has actually been nerfed due to the changes in the concealment expert, on your captain no longer gives you the, I think it was like 16% for CVs, something like that, is no longer there. It's actually 10%. So you're no longer as stealthy as you used to be. And I think that's kind of the reason why, or else these planes would be a little bit different. But, I mean, that's a discussion for another time. So your planes actually do have a detection. We actually get our very first skill. I will say, like I said, I'm still learning, and the damage isn't particularly amazing in this battle. I think I get up to maybe a 60,000, so I'm about a third way there. But that's kind of the focus right now of the CV. It's no longer that damage farmer that it used to be. I mean, you obviously are going to be farming damage. You're going to be doing dot damage. As you can see, I came a little bit close. But I actually kind of like this. Now, another aspect of the current CV, it no longer does the spotting. I mean, you can spot. But if you do spot, you're not going to be scouting anytime soon. So it's kind of a trade-off. If you do damage, you're not scouting. If you're scouting, you're not doing damage. And I've actually had battles where people get really frustrated because I'm not scouting. It's either should I take the time and scout, which, I mean, yes, is very beneficial. Early game, very strong. Or do I actually want to make myself useful and cause damage? So it's kind of that trade-off you have to keep in mind. And right now, I'm actually coming over here, and this is kind of a good instance of what you should be doing to help your fellow players is dropping off the fighter. So I'm actually going to go ahead and drop off my fighter so it can help defend Dread from the incoming dive bombers, and I think even I believe, is it HE rockets? Yeah, it looks like HE rockets. See right there, we actually lost a decent amount of health because I came in right through the flak. So you do really have to be careful. And we actually get a citadel, which is kind of nice to see. Unfortunately, it doesn't show the reticule, but whenever you're dropping, you want the outer circle and inner circle to line up to get the most out of your damage. And it takes a little bit of practice, that's for sure. So, major change to the CV. I'm actually curious what you guys are, what your current thoughts are. I'm enjoying it. I think, yeah, it's a dramatic change, and even for just regular people right now, it's a dramatic change. We'll see how things actually will keep going, and hopefully they get a little bit better as time progresses. So, one little nice thing is it makes it actually very difficult, and this is a nice little change that I agree, is that they actually changed the ability for CV sniping. It's actually somewhat difficult to do early game because the AA on ships are actually fairly decent. And I will say I love the quality of the planes and everything on them. Really fantastic job. And yeah, I missed that. It's all right. So as you can see, I mean, it's just something that's gonna have to be learned, and that's what a lot of people are complaining, is that they don't fully understand. I don't fully understand. I'm gonna be making mistakes, but it's interesting. It's a different change in pace than what it used to be, which I'm very much grateful for. I think it was very much needed, because prior CVs were a very niche class that was played, and it was very much focused on just doing those alpha strikes, and your teams could either be essentially screwed whether or not you actually have a decent CV player or not. So, I mean, you're still going to be doing that striking damage. You're still going to be helping out with enemy attack planes, as I drop down a fighter right there. Once again, that's actually a tactic you can use. You can drop down a fighter. It does have an area. which does mean that it does have to kind of deal with that fighter whenever going for a drop. It's very beneficial right now. And I like it. I mean, it's just a definite change of pace. I'm sure I'm probably forgetting stuff right now. I'm still learning, like I said, I'm still learning how to actually use these weaponry system. As you can see there, we only did 1,000 points of damage. And we hit with 3 rockets. And right now, I'm actually correcting this. So whenever coming in, it's very similar to like the dive bombers. You want to actually fire more parallel with the ship rather than perpendicular like it was. And that's actually our second kill of the game, which is actually super nice. Gonna see if we can finish off this New York. And there we go, kill number 2. And that's kind of the crazy thing. It's just how quickly you can deal damage, because you can pass off one strike, come back around. You could even wait, say you get a fire or a flood, you can wait for them to repair that and then come back around and do another fire or flood. That's kind of the whole focus of the CVs right now. But unfortunately, this battle is actually going to end. This is, like I said, I'm interested. It's actually kind of put CVs back on the map for me. So we'll see how things go. But that's going to be it for this battle. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like what you saw, hit the like and subscribe button. You guys have a great and fantastic day. Zaijian.